Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Kenneth Jay. I'm co-founder of the RowForge app, and I'm also a sports scientist with a PhD in exercise physiology and clinical biomechanics. In this video, we're going to talk about supplementary exercises for rowing and getting better, stronger, more powerful on the rowing ergometer. Now, I have about four or five favorite exercises, and we're going to cover a few of them in this video. So the first one, as you'll see it here, is a deadlift to upright row hybrid. So basically you're deadlifting the bar, but you keep accelerating it up with a narrower grip and pulling it all the way up to basically your chin. You do this very explosively, basically with a triple extension. So this exercise kind of mimics the rowing motion, but it does it in the vertical plane. You can build a lot of extra explosivity from this exercise that will transfer quite nicely into the rowing stroke or the rowing pull. It's absolutely one of my favorite exercises. I like to go somewhat lighter on these, so somewhere around, if you're male, build up to maybe, I don't know, 120, 130, 135 pounds, something like that. Going a lot heavier is not necessarily the goal with this, because you're going for power, and in order to develop a lot of power, you need to move fast, and you cannot do that with very heavy weights. All right, and the next exercise here, as you'll see right here as well, is the basic surger squat. About 50 or 60% of the power and the force during a rowing stroke comes from your leg drive. So it's absolutely crucial that you develop a lot of leg strength in order not to, first of all, fatigue or even injure your upper body. So a lot of people, when they first start out rowing, they have a problem with leading with the legs or driving with the legs, so they start to pull with the upper body, and quite often you'll see that the pull is even initiated with the arms bending. You don't want that. You want to push the foot plates as hard as possible in a forward motion. So it kind of mimics a squatting motion. And again, the squatting motion, the basic squat transfers quite nicely into the push. It's also why that exercise is a staple of pretty much every rower on an international level, basically across the world. So when they hit the gym, they squat. Of course, you got to make sure you got good squatting mechanics and everything, but I trust that if you don't, that you'll find out appropriate help and guidance with some physical trainer who knows what they're doing. So those are two great supplementary exercises that you can do in the gym. Now the squat can be done either for power, or it can be done for maximal force generation, and it kind of depends on how you're built, your training background, and where you should emphasize building the attributes. For most people, it's quite alright to focus on power, as it will transfer greatly, and even in the hardest rowing strokes, in most powerful and forceful rowing strokes, you're not going to be pushing close to anywhere near 100 kilos or 220 pounds. So you can quite easily use a training weight that's lower, but then emphasizing the movement velocity in the motion. Make sure that you squat to an appropriate depth, and I would much rather prefer an Olympic style squatting motion or squatting stance as opposed to a powerlifting squatting stance. You don't want that very wide, and you don't want a whole lot of hip hinging. You want a lot of quad domination in this. It's okay to elevate the heels as well with this. In the video, you'll see me surger squatting, and that's just the way I prefer to squat, because I have no interest in developing an Olympic style way of squatting, because I don't compete in Olympic lifting, and depending on how you're built, it may not even be appropriate for you to have the bar on the back or even in the front rack. You can if you want to, because it's all about the legs. I always prefer to keep the bar in the crooks of my arms right here, in a searcher squat fashion. It's probably also related to my interest in martial arts, where there's a lot of making sure that you're keeping tight here, especially in your clenching and stuff like that, and being able to drive if you're going into a suplex or something like that. It's just a preference of mine. For rowing, you can do a front rack, you can load it on the back, you can do a searcher squat. Doesn't really matter as long as you get to an appropriate, quite deep knee bend. Let your knees come forward. Use a kind of an Olympic style stance for this. So 2 great supplementary exercises. In an upcoming video, I'll share a few more of my favorite ones that's gonna help you build a forceful and powerful rowing stroke. All right, until then, see ya.